Several times I put myself in your shoes and thought, okay, what if she was the cricketer and I was the one traveling around?
You wouldn't travel.
If I wasn't married to you, my last ball would have come at least 6 to 10 months before then when it came.
Yeah, I remember you telling when we were married that 33, 34 tops.
Yeah, I wanted to.
I don't think I'm going to do anything after that. I'll never be that person who's kind of hanging on.
I would never be the dad that he was, not even 15% of it. He was the heartthrob of the nation. In many ways, I call him the hope of the country at that point of time. Hello and welcome to Kutti Story. Sorry, பழக்கதோஷத்தில் போயிட்டேன். Welcome to a special episode, BornToSparkle with GRT Jewellers. BornToSparkle ஸ்பெஷல் எபிசோட்னு சொல்லிட்டேன். அதனால ஒரு ஸ்பெஷல் கெஸ்ட்டையும் கூட்டிகிட்டு வர வேண்டிய ஒரு சூழ்நிலை. கொஞ்சம் அன்ஃபார்ச்சுனேட் தான், பட் பரவாயில்ல. வெல்கம் டு த ஷோ பிரீத்தி.
ஹலோ.
ஸோ
நீ இன்டர்வியூ பண்ண போறியா?
இல்லை, நான் இன்டர்வியூ பண்ண போகிறது இல்லை. இங்கே என்ன சொல்லியிருக்காங்க, யூஸ்வலாக வீட்டில் நான் தான் கேள்வி கேட்பேன். அதனால ஃபார் அ சேஞ்ச் இங்கே நீ கேள்வி கேட்கணும்னு சொல்லி நான் ரிக்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணதுனால உனக்கு கேள்விகளையும் எழுதி கொடுத்துருக்காங்கன்னு நினைக்கிறேன். நீ கேட்டேன்னா நான் கரெக்டாக பதில் சொல்லுவேன்.
Out of syllabus கேட்குறேன் பாரு. Okay, take the audience back to your childhood. Tell them what kind of a kid you were in school. இது எனக்கு தெரியும், அவங்களுக்கும் தெரியும். பரவாயில்ல சார்.
யாருக்குமே தெரியாது ஆக்சுவலாக, ஏன்னா நான் கஷ்டப்பட்ட சைல்ட்ஹுட்டை பற்றி நானே சொல்கிறேன். So basically, to go back to my childhood, abdina, obviously you know from class 8 or whatever it is, you saw me for a brief period of time. But my childhood was completely punctuated by playing the game, watching the game and hearing my dad talk about the game. And to look at professional sport, அதாவது ஸ்போர்ட்டை வந்து ஒரு ப்ரொஃபஷனாக எடுத்துன்னு போகிறதெல்லாம் வந்து unheard of. இன்ஃபேக்ட் எனக்கு என்ன நல்லா ஞாபகம் இருக்கிறது என்னென்னா, 9th ஸ்டாண்டர்ட் வரைக்கும் பசங்களாம் கிரிக்கெட் விளையாடுவாங்க, என் கூட விளையாடுறவங்க. 10th ஸ்டாண்டர்டில் லிட்ரலி நான் போய் ஆளுங்களை கூட்டிகிட்டு வந்து தான் ஸ்கூல் டீமே சேர்க்கணும். ஏன்னா
டு பட்டன் நீ கிரிக்கெட் மட்டும் விளையாடல.
ஆமாம்,
யூ ஆர் பிளேயிங் மல்டிபிள் திங்ஸ். ஸோ இஃப் ஐ வாஸ் யுவர் பேரண்ட் ஐ வுட் ஹவ் பீன் லிட்டில்.
No, my parents are honestly not worried about it at all. The moment I come back from the ground, he'll be sitting with the book trying to teach me. ஏன்னா his pressure on him was, ஒரே ஒரு பையன் கூட்டிகிட்டு போயிட்டு இந்த மாதிரி ஆகிடுதுன்னா லைஃப் பாழா போயிடும். அந்த லாஜிக் தான். They say, right, one generation it takes to build the family up and the other generation really lifts the family. அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி everything together happened at once for us at home. But from an academic side also, it was a huge challenge. It is unheard of in a school where we studied. It's not heard of that a child always goes to play. And again, I mean, of course, there have been some successful other people that have come out of the school, but correct. From a sports perspective, cricketing perspective, maybe apart from Sharat Kamal, I was probably the first one to come out.
But you did also kind of like pave the way for a lot of other people to come through, making it easier for, you know, people to follow. I think that is a big thing. What you struggled for, it probably came a little bit easier to someone else.
But that's exactly how evolution is.
Correct.
Like I always say, maybe it sounds a bit spiritual, but the fact of the matter is, if somebody didn't do it before me, I wouldn't have done it. Like if I hadn't seen Anil Kumble do it, Harbhajan Singh do it, or Sachin Tendulkar do it, I would have not wanted to pick the bat and ball and do it. Sachin Tendulkar வந்து 12th standard தான் படிச்சாரு. இது ஒரு காமன் ரிலேட்டிவ்ஸ் வீட்டுக்கெல்லாம் போகும்போதோ இல்லை மேரேஜஸ்க்கெலாம் போகும்போதோ கிரிக்கெட் எப்படி விளையாடுறேன்னு ஒரு 10 அங்கிள் வந்தாருன்னா ஒரு அங்கிள் தான் கேட்பாரு, கிரிக்கெட் எப்படி விளையாடுறேன்னு. The rest of the 9 uncles and aunties would be asking how you studying. So that was what the norm was at that point of time. But it was a famous story, right? That Sachin didn't really go to school, get educated, but he was the heartthrob of the nation. In many ways, I call him the hope of the country at that point of time. So in many ways, he was the path breaker. Seeing him, I never told myself that I will keep education as at the back burner.
Right.
But I said, okay, I'll try and manage, but I can't be incredibly good. Until about 5th or 6th standard, I was very good. But then it fell by the wayside as a child, 11, 12-year-old. It's very difficult to manage a physical sport and also be extremely good at academics. Nowadays, a lot of children are doing it, of course.
In fact, coming back to the uncles and aunties who asked you, enna padikira, how are you studying? Ipo, I see a marked change where people are actually asking our children, what sport do you play? It's a conversation that has changed 30 years later. I don't think it's only because they're our children, but generally sport as a huge part of life, it's evolved. And இப்போ வந்து என்ன படிக்கிற, எவ்வளோ மார்க்குக்கு பார்த்தா என்ன ஸ்போர்ட் ஆடுற, இஸ் இட் ப்ரொஃபஷனல், என்ன மியூசிக் கற்றுக்கிற, இது பண்ணுற அது பண்ண. ஸோ இட்ஸ் அமேசிங் தட் mindset is changing, you know, eventually.
Of course, that's a very good way to conclude that particular question. All right, it's my turn to ask you a question. I don't get several answers when I ask questions at home, but let me try this time. I think that's what I enjoy about this one. Okay, best part of being married to a cricketer?
I think 2 main aspects would be, one is to be able to watch a sport that I enjoy watching in close quarters. Second is if it's easier to understand what you go through and you are part of that life.
Like in terms of saying what I go through is easier to understand because you're traveling on the way.
Yeah.
But I would have always thought, I mean, I've several times I put myself in your shoes and thought, okay, what if she was the cricketer and I was the one traveling around?
You wouldn't travel.
Maybe I wouldn't, because I don't enjoy traveling as much. Obviously, if you have to travel, if you, I mean, you like
to come
someone,
along,
you're traveling with them,
Correct.
you love them, you
Yeah.
travel with them. How would I have coped with it? Whenever I've thought of it, it's always come across as something that's pretty significant, right? It needs to have a bit of liking for the game, and of course, love comes without saying. But at what point did you start understanding and enjoying the game to be able to do this? This is my life. I jumped on this wagon.
Yeah.
Okay, what are my difficulties through this? Have you ever thought of it?
So I think initial year or so was a bit of a blur, which I've said multiple times. It was very overwhelming. I didn't understand what the life of a professional athlete was at all. And I don't think you had the time or the bandwidth to kind of explain it. It's not like, okay, here is a manual, kind of go through it. You'll figure out how to pack my kit bag and you'll know my training schedule. You'll know when I go to gym, when I go to practice, what is training, what is practice. These are different things. Adala it took time. But after that, I realized that, there were a couple of things which added to that. One being the fact that I genuinely enjoyed traveling. I genuinely enjoyed your company. So these were things that kind of checked off boxes and made it easier. After children, it was a different thing. But Abriu, I've managed to carry boxes all over the world, and it kind of sweetened the deal. So,
in fact, I significantly feel it's slightly, I mean, not massively, but it's definitely easier if you're traveling at an elite level. Slightly more easier than if you have to travel on your own. That's just
100%,
when I look back at it.
Because a lot of the travel is sorted out.
Yes, it is.
But if you remember, after a point, we used to only come and join you on tours later on.
Yeah, that was
which
hard.
means that we did all the logistics, we sorted out whatever we had to do, and then we would end up where you are. But if you were with the team, of course, we're very privileged.
No, it does take an entire household to build a cricketer. I think it continued after my parents as well. But I'll take the second question first now, because you led me onto it. So I thought it's the right time to ask, what's the biggest lesson motherhood has taught you?
I don't think it has taught you kind of makes it look like it's already in the past. I feel like it's a role that's permanently work in progress. So initially, I think checking in with yourself becomes very important after you're a mom, because you kind of intuitively take on that role, and then you're suddenly not realizing that you've taken on a lot more than you've realized, or you can, whether or not you can do that, you've taken it on. So another kind of checking in with yourself and seeing, okay, I can do this. It's okay if I can't do this. It's okay to ask for help. And those things become very important. Sometimes for years together, because the child is an infant and a toddler, and then he or she is growing up, they are always going to need you. But at some point in time, you can sit back and say, okay, this I have to do for myself. And that's a journey for a lot of moms, I think. It takes you years. It took me close to 10 years to sit and say, okay, this is time for me to concentrate on myself and my health and what I have to do for myself so that I'm okay for them. Learn to check in and be there for yourself. I feel it's taught me that. Because if I can't do that for myself, it's going to be very difficult for me to turn up for them. And I don't want to be like a half-baked mummy turning up for them.
Look after yourself to be physically
100%. Physically, mentally, more than like physically.
I still remember the first conversation. We had, of course, and then we said, obviously, we were going to have our first daughter. And in my mind, I was the only kid at home, right? So I always wanted to have more than one child.
Yeah.
Because it was terribly lonely for me. I used to beg my parents for a sibling. It used to be so cool to have a sibling, right? So when I was having this conversation with my mom, and she said, you guys can just get rolling on. You must have kids, that you couldn't have a sibling, so your daughter must have another one. Somehow, the parents from our generation make bringing up a child look so easy.
Easy, correct.
Either they genuinely felt it was easy, or they were living in better times. I don't know what it was, but it surely hasn't. I watched you in close quarters, and I've had to pitch in as well. But it's definitely not an easy task, right? It's something. Yeah.
And I feel like people have to. It's not something that you say, oh, I can do this like I do everything else. I would encourage people to sit through and think, because I remember when we were thinking about having a child. I remember saying, since you're away a lot, I would be ready to have a child only when I think I'm ready to do it all by myself. And, I wouldn't be lost or, crying for help at any point, which was still okay. But I had to be mentally ready, get there, and then be like, okay, now I'm ready. So it's good if you take the time. I don't know how our parents did it. Maybe we were just easier children. I want to look at
But
it.
I
that
do
way.
believe I believe parenting isn't like a commitment that is very time limited.
It's not.
It's
No,
a
it's
commitment
forever.
for life. You're committed
Yeah.
forever. However
Correct.
big the children grow up, it's a thankless job actually.
I find
Because
it
when
very fulfilling. Maybe it'll become, I don't know about that, but
No, I've turned around and
yeah.
fought a lot with my parents, and
Yeah.
I'm made like that. I mean, our bonding at home starts with a good conversation to ending up with a lot of fights.
Yes,
You've
I
seen
know.
it with close quarters, but that's the way we bond at home, and somehow that sort of fighting is something that we have taken on all the time. But after those conversations, I do feel like okay. I'm deeply indebted to them, but sometimes when I do end up fighting, I feel bad about it because it's a full-time job. Even now, my mom calls in to check what I do in the morning, if I've had my meal or whatever it is. So
Yeah.
I think it's amazing, and I keep telling my parents also that I can never be. Especially my dad. I would never be the dad that he was. Not even 15% of it. So in many ways, I think you're also done a fabulous job. I keep telling every time I look at our daughters, I keep telling people outside. I think Preeti has done an incredibly good job.
Thanks, Ashwin.
Should I go on to the next one as well?
No.
Because it's
my
very
turn.
interesting.
I know.
The way you're
Is
talking.
it in the same?
No, it's
No.
going on. It's actually they've written your script much better than mine.
I go ahead. I'm just answering better.
Okay, maybe.
Okay. Cricket question. What did you feel during the first ball of the first over that you bowled for India?
Can't even remember. I think it must have been in Zimbabwe. I can't even remember how I felt. I do remember my first wicket. I think it was Upul Taranga. Harare or Bulawayo? I mean Harare. Yeah, it was Harare in Zimbabwe. But I do remember that I was briefly nervous about delivering the ball. I got the first over in and it was quite short. Didn't get the ball up there. The body was really slow. Mind was racing faster, but the body was really slow. It wasn't going into it. And over the years, I've developed, I can say I've continued to play the game with constant cause and effect. Like if I did something, that was the effect on the other side. So
Right.
for me, that's how I've learned the game. It's been a very intriguing journey for me over the last 20 years. So I was a complete rookie at that point of time, not knowing how to address that. The only way I knew to bowl a ball when I bowled the first ball for Indian team was look at the stump and bowl the ball. But I don't think I finished. When I bowled my last ball, I knew way more than what I did at the first. So I think more than having a fulfilling career or going through that whole performances, ups and downs, I think it's about how much I've managed to learn from that boy who walked out to play in 2010 for India to when I quit 2024, 25. It's been...
So how was? I think you knew when you were going to bowl your last ball. Did you think about it like that? I know it was
pretty
building on
close.
for some time,
I think
but
it's pretty close.
was
I think
it?
it was pretty close, yeah.
I know it's not black and white. It probably wouldn't have been at that point in time, but you kind of knew, okay, this is my last ball for India.
In fact, let me tell you something. Because you raised up this question a few days ago when we were having coffee the living room, I told you something. I used to pride myself on decision making.
Right.
If I wasn't married to you, my last ball would have come at least 6 to 10 months before then when it came. For me, the decision making has always happened like that. Just gone. I feel something strongly, I end up doing it. I won't even think twice. Like if I felt like I needed to do something, like maybe do a business, do a startup, I would do it. I would get to doing it tomorrow. But if I felt strongly about it. Whereas with you around, I felt the necessity. But if I needed to make a decision, for example, before I was married, if I needed to make a decision on something I had to do, like not with respect to cricket, something else, let's say finance or something, I used to consult with my mum, okay? Or if it didn't interest me, I wouldn't venture in at all. But decision was taken. Like if I took it, I took it. I used to wear the pros and cons with it. But ever since I got married, the decision making has been very collaborative, if I can use that word. So
It's a very smart thing to say. Okay.
it has been very collaborative.
I was just going to wait and see what word you were going to drop.
No, it is, and I feel largely, if I've made 10 decisions, 9.5 of those have been very impulsive because I felt strong about it.
Right.
And it has worked. And I'm okay with it not working otherwise, but I just felt that last ball would have come at least 10 months before it came.
Right.
Because my experience of walking onto the field, the Indian cricket team, and having seen a lot of people play the game in front of me, sometimes I've also seen people who know their end is near, but they've struggled to give up on it. And
hang on.
and for me, somehow that never really, I didn't want to be that person.
Yeah, I remember you telling when we were married that 33, 34 tops.
Yeah, I wanted to.
I don't think I'm going to do anything after that. I'll never be that person who's kind of hanging on for the sake of it. So I remember that. But
If I had had a career that had gone exactly how I had planned, by 34 I would have been done.
right.
But somewhere there was a little few things that went here and there, and I wanted to,
Yeah.
I still had some energy that said keep going and want to accomplish something in the game. But I felt like that had finished. The moment I walked out and got 100 at Chepauk against Bangladesh, I think that's when it had finished.
Correct.
And I wanted to close there, but somehow, I mean, it just went on. And what probably kept me going was a potential chance of winning a WTC title.
Yes.
But anyway, in Australia, after we lost the test, I think it was all over. So I didn't want to.
So safe to say, you kind of thought it was your last ball for about.
I don't know what my last ball
after
was.
that,
I can't remember how it felt like because I hadn't made a decision on the field. Only when your last moment, you know when it's done. That much I can tell you. You know when it's done.
Right.
And for me, it was done quite a while ago. So maybe 10 months ago.
Wait, I'll ask you one more cricket-ish question. If you and MS are stuck on an island, how would you spend the day? Probably guess what MS would do.
I know how I would spend it.
Yes.
that's
also
as much.
But what would you do together is my question.
One thing we might connect over is not a lot of choice of words. I am the one who has a lot of words to say. He's much more quieter. But I think
But also he's quiet. I mean, if it's a topic that he likes, he speaks a lot. So.
He does. But he needs to enjoy that. But I think one thing that we might bond over is playing something together. 100%. We've always done that. Whenever we ventured, I don't know if you remember it, right from the first tour to Australia in Perth.
Tennis.
We used to play tennis together. Yeah. Then I think he's got a dodgy knee. I also have a dodgy knee. So now I think he plays a bit of paddle. We used to play a lot of TT when we were playing for CSK.
You guys would probably play like beach volleyball with
we've done that as well in Dubai.
Or something.
In Dubai, when we went for the T20 World Cup, he was a mentor, and we also played table tennis a lot.
CSK,
team room, and we used to play a lot of table tennis. Right. And he's pretty competitive. He likes playing a lot. One thing that you can't, any racket sport, barring badminton, he's damn good at badminton. And anything apart from badminton, racket sport, I'd beat him. But anything on a football field, he can't even get near him. He's just unbelievably good with football. I think he was first a footballer before he turned a cricketer, right? So I think it's a good question, actually. Right, well done. What's the biggest learning from building Carom Ball Media and Gen X Cricket Academy from scratch? Hell yeah. I mean, Gen X Cricket Academy is also my baby, right? I handed it over to you. So I'll just.
You got busy with slightly more important things like playing for the country. So someone.
But I continue to multitask, and you know
now you do. Now that is like a constant thing, right? So we didn't really.
Was it from scratch?
I think the Gen X was already there. You and Dad had already set it up, and it's on auto mode right now. Now that you're back and you have some time on your hands, I think you'll take over.
Carom Ball Media as well was along the flow, right? Like it was.
I think we were doing some work already, but then once COVID hit and we launched your YouTube channel, then a lot of other work has also started coming in. So I'm basically your agent, and then I sell you to make money. And then it sounds so bad. But anyway.
It doesn't. I mean, it doesn't.
Okay,
no.
I'll go with that. So we do that, and then we do all of your YouTube work. Right. So we started off in 2017-18. But what I did learn in that journey was how to separate work and family time, which we are still really bad at doing.
Still trying to figure it out,
And then randomly we put a rule a couple of years ago: no work talk inside the bedroom. But then we're permanently talking about that. We should.
Depends on how the week looks like. If you had a free day without kids, what would you like to do?
Oh boy, I'd be very bored.
No, off late, I've managed to have the kids. So you've had some free days, right?
Yeah, I know. Actually, if I didn't have to think about what I have to do for them or work or you the next day, then I would chill the previous day. I'd probably sleep a lot.
An underrated fact of a mum, right? Like
we have this, like the quota of sleep that you should actually be having is highly like underrated, right? And there's a lot more that women need to take for themselves. So if I knew I didn't have to do anything the next day, and this day was, remember what I'm saying, if I had chose to do the next day, I wouldn't sleep this day. So if I had the next day free, then I would sleep in the previous day. And I'd watch some TV, order something really carby and eat. And
like a cheat meal types.
Yeah, like a good meal. What cheat meal? Like a good meal. Who do you think is the next big sensation in cricket?
Are there options?
No, just yours. So we'll do Indian and then a couple of international ones.
I think India is spoiled for choices. Honestly, I mean, if I had to pick one, I would be doing a disservice.
No, not one. Let's do a couple.
See, the problem with Indian cricket now is talent is in abundance, right?
Correct.
And you don't know who is going to cut. And I would be very, very surprised. And I want it to be like that. Like people should play for a long span of time for India because that gives you a lot of stability and leadership and co-work for the team.
Yeah.
But I think the volume of cricket that the next generation will play is going to definitely start coming down because you look at the competition now. Like we are talking about T20 cricket and you're talking about Shubman Gill, you're talking about Yashasvi Jaiswal hasn't made it to the team.
Right.
And then you're talking about Abhishek Sharma, you're talking about Sanju Samson. Then there are these two kids that have burst onto the block, which is Priyansh Charya and Vaibhav Suryavanshi.
Right.
And if I'm selected and watching all this, I'm like, what the hell, man? Like, who do I pick? And honestly, I think India needs two teams in several of these tournaments. If I was an ardent cricket fan, okay, and if I want to watch cricket, some of these bilateral series that happens these days is a hoax. I would much rather have India form India, India A, India B and play a high quality tournament. That's where India has got. And somebody had put a comment the other day that where is the bowling? Like if you look at the bowling, obviously I think to create high quality standard bowlers is going to take a larger time because bowling is the tougher act.
Right.
I'm not saying batting is much more easier, but I'm saying batting is very reactive. But to become a really, really good bowler, not only requires physical churning, it also requires mental churning, tactical understanding, managing your body, workload. For a batter, it's a lot lesser when you compare all these things. But India is seriously gifted with a lot of talent, and you can even make two teams. Like I said, one star that I think would do amazingly well if he looks after his fitness is Yashasvi Jaiswal.
Right.
I think he's got a great future ahead of him because yes, of course, one is a game, the quality to hit strike a ball. Sometimes I remember a long time ago when I started playing cricket, there was a mention of one of my favorites, W.V. Raman, told me something about Manish Pandey.
Right.
He said Manish Pandey is a really special cricketer. I asked him why. And he said the way the ball races off the bat. Not everybody can hit a ball and the ball can fly, right? Like it looks as if you make very little effort and the ball flies. Now that is ball striking and that's an ability Jaiswal has. But what sets him apart from a lot of others I see is the hunger and learning curve.
Right.
His learning curve is really steep. He's very hungry for success. And that's a single-mindedness. Hunger for success is required, but his hunger is really attractive to watch. So
you've always liked characters like that, I think.
In many ways, to be very successful at that elite level or the highest level, technique is one, tactic is one. Of course, you need a lot of luck. But what goes with all this is the desire. You need to have the desire to keep constantly searching inwards and outwards.
Right.
And sometimes some people are gifted to search outwards, but searching inwards is a very special journey. And that takes time. And that's why you see a lot of cricketers evolving as they get to the deeper end of their careers and they get better. So
Any
Yashasvi
international
Jaiswal.
names?
International names, Devol Brevis.
Brevis, no, I was just going to say, apart from Brevis, I knew Brevis was going to come out of your mouth.
No, look, I think again,
any of the other boys?
special talent.
Right.
Brevis is a really special talent. And I do think he will go on to do very, very special things on a cricket field. And even one other name I want to take is a very established name, always given Indian cricket fans nightmares, Travis Head.
Right.
I would be very surprised.
I said new guys. Anyone?
Travis
next
Head.
big, yeah, he's already.
No, I'm saying Travis Head could go on to become the next leader for Australia.
Right.
These are just my assumptions. I don't know. It might not happen as well, but could do some special things. I think he's got tactical acumen as well.
Right.
Usually when research happens, I go towards Sri Lanka. I'm going to pick a name. I really like that boy, but I somehow find he's not really taken the world by storm. It's Pathum Nissanka.
Pathum Nissanka.
I think he's a good cricketer, does really well for Sri Lanka, but somewhere lacks a bit of power, hasn't really set the world stage on fire.
Okay.
Oh, it could be good, I want to search something inside Asia.
Okay.
If outside Asia, then I would go for Harry Brook.